Good evening. I'd like to call the Municipal Planning Commission meeting to order. It's a special called meeting. We're going to do a roll call.
Mike Mitchell.
Brandon Butler.
Lisa Anderson.
Derek Burks.
The way this planning commission works, we have 9 members. If we have less than 6, we do not have a quorum, which means that we cannot conduct business. I'm going to turn it over to our city manager to explain why we're having this special meeting, for the record.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the commission.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, we have a couple of issues to address. Obviously, we don't have a quorum tonight, so the suggestion would be everything that would be considered tonight, we will add to the agenda for the March 14, 2017 regular scheduled planning commission meeting. The city will make advertisements for that and any contacts we need to make to ensure that that's done properly. The matter at hand, or the issue or concern that we have is planning commission members, once they're appointed or assigned, or planning commission members until effectively 3 things happen. They resign or remove themselves from the planning commission, they are voted away from the planning commission, or in the case of Commissioner Burks, his term expires. In the case of the mayor or his or her designee, the same 2 would apply until that term of service expires. In this case, Mr. Lavorne is the mayor's designee. You may recall a few months back there was some discussion about whether or not we could have alternate members of the planning commission in case of absences, for we were to be able to go through those things. As we learned in some investigation of that in October and November, we learned that there is no provision for alternates for planning commission members. Once those members are appointed to the planning commission, they have that seat with those expirations. The same holds true for the mayor's seat. What happens is once the mayor designates someone in their seat, they're appointed a member of the planning commission, just as each of you are by the Board of Commissioners. Mr. Lavorne was appointed at the July 2016 meeting to fill the seat of Mayor Carroll. In his absence at the last meeting, the mayor, through no fault, came and took part in the meeting. At the conclusion of that, there was some confusion as well as whether or not Mr. Lavorne had been removed or was still there. In fact, he's still a member of the Planning Commission. The mayor just kind of sat in and filled in, and as we've learned, there's no provision for that. As the meeting progressed, or we went through, there was no incident or vote during the meeting where the mayor's vote altered adversely or in favor of any of those meetings, any of those agenda items. However, in the abundance of caution, to make sure that no claim could be made that there was a wrongdoing or a misapplication of the rules of the Planning Commission, we requested that we revisit those agenda items and address them properly with properly seated members of the Planning Commission. That's how we arrived here tonight. Obviously, we don't have a quorum for that meeting, so we will simply add these items to your next regular scheduled meeting and rehear them as we would have tonight.
Okay, thank you. So do I just adjourn, or do I need to?
You wouldn't even have to adjourn because there's no
Okay,
meeting to be
because
called to order.
we can't vote on anything.
Correct.
so.
And I understand that this is rather confusing. As we go through the process, as we've all discussed, there's a lot to learn for all of us, myself included. We want to make sure that we get this right and make sure that anytime you vote, we've given you the proper information you need to do that appropriately. That's an error on our side. We wanted to make sure that we get this right. And in the interest of doing that, we will move forward this information and go. And we appreciate your willingness to come to this meeting and to serve on the Planning Commission, but it is an area that we needed to address, and we'll follow that in the March meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's it.
You know, one thing that, and I will